Vin Diesel as Raphael. I like that. I'm not sure I've ever seen an angel with a shaved head before, but I think Raphael needs to be from a action hero. I mean, sure, the stories in the Bible. We're talking about the Book of Tobit in the Old Testament, but and a lot of people don't know about Raphael. Uh, Raphael is the angel sent to rescue Sarah. Sarah is, there's a lot of Sarahs. Sarah is in the Old Testament and she is married 7 times, and 7 times she's widowed. That's the story of Tobit. Now, Tobit is her future father in law, but she's victimized by a demon, married 7 times, and a demon comes and kills her husband immediately or within minutes. Sometimes it's in the tent that he just got married. I mean, he doesn't even move and he falls dead. Demonic murder. Sometimes he's in the reception hall after the wedding. Sometimes he's walking outside. Sometimes he's carrying the bride over the threshold. But 7 men, husbands, are struck down. Now you can imagine what that does to poor Sarah. She is destroyed a little bit each time, but she doesn't lose her faith in God. Sure, she goes up and down on the emotional spectrum, from cheerful and happy to sad, even suicidal. She prays to God that He take her life, but she never stops believing. She never loses her faith. That's the whole point. She doesn't lose her faith. Her father-in-law is the lead male character, and he's 80 and blind, but he needs and does everything for his family. He needs grandkids. He needs a son to have a wife. The only problem is his chosen wife is 7 times a widow. So how would you like? His son's name is Toby, and he's a little apprehensive. How would you feel about dating or becoming engaged to a woman that's been married 7 times? Sarah prays to God for deliverance. Tobit prays to God for someone to, a companion, someone to guard and protect. Toby's his son. Toby's going to marry Sarah in the end, but only because Raphael kills the demon. So it's a religious film with 7 Jewish weddings that are interrupted by 7 demonic deaths. I don't want to say true story, but it's in the Bible. It's in Catholic and Orthodox Christian Bibles. It's in a lot in the lore of a lot of Jewish religious training. Jews who paid attention in school, let's call them the attentive public. The attentive public, people that paid attention in school, know the story of Tobit. They know in the Old Testament there was a girl, a good Jewish girl from a nice family, and she didn't do anything to bring this on herself, but a demon makes her life miserable. So Raphael, or Vin Diesel, comes and dispatches the demon. They can't have an 8th wedding until the demon is killed. So there's a huge fight at the end of the movie, angels versus demons, and the demon is, I flat out tell you, it's in 1.5 billion Bibles, and in that same number, religious training from little kids. Raphael is going to kill the demon and roll him up in a rope like a ball of yarn. And he rolls him down London Street and dumps him in the Thames. The body sinks to the bottom, all tied up in rope. And so, yeah, it's the end of the story. Except I haven't set this in the same time or location as the Bible. I don't think people want to see a story that's 3,000 years old. With actors in robes in the middle of the desert. In the Bible, the main characters were Jews in the Babylonian captivity. Jews were taken from north Israel, the north part of Israel, over to modern day Iraq, Mesopotamia, and they were held in slavery. So that's where this story takes place. I change it to 1930s Amsterdam because of the Nazi Holocaust. The Nazis are going to get to Amsterdam in 1941. And it's especially brutal because the Dutch Jews resist. And there's a rebellion, and that just makes the Nazi brutality worse. Students of history, more than half of the audience will understand what's coming for the Dutch Jews. So I make Tobit, his father-in-law, a Dutch Jew. His son, Toby, is a Dutch Jew. Tobit goes blind and needs the money he saved from when he was a kid. When he was young, he put money in a London bank and forgot about it. But he's become blind and needs the money to keep his family going. He's 80, but he's so accustomed to taking care of things, he can't let it go. So he sends his son across the English Channel, and the son's supposed to go by himself. Well, how's that going to work out? He's going to cross the channel, find the London bank, get a retirement nest egg, tons of money, and get it back without getting robbed. So Tobit prays for a companion. And who shows up? Raphael or Vin Diesel. I don't know who better to pit against. What action hero would you rather have face a demon? And Asmodeus isn't a low-level demon. He's a particularly, who kills a newlywed husband and with blood splatter? So Sarah lives in London, and they're going to meet. And they can't. Raphael is Vin Diesel. Yeah. Because Toby says, man, I don't know if I can marry this girl. I like her. She likes me. She's not afraid to get married. I mean, this would be I would be the eighth husband, but I'm a little worried. And what does Vin Diesel say? What does Raphael say? Don't worry about it. I got this. You like her. She likes you. If you want to get married, I won't let anything happen to you. When the demon comes, I'll take care of it. And, well, that's what happens. Yeah, I think Vin Diesel would be great. It's not in Protestant Bibles, yes. In the 1920s, it was taken out of Protestant Bibles in the United States. I asked a Roman Catholic priest in Dublin why he thought that Tobit was no longer in all the Bibles. And he said, he spoke to me in political terms. He said, "Isn't it funny? All that started with Lutherans in 1923, right after World War One. So he blamed the anti-Catholic feelings in the 1920s that resulted from World War One, with Tobit being excluded from a lot of Bibles. It's still in the Catholic, it's still in the Orthodox Christian Bibles. Now, I talked to a Lutheran minister and asked him why, and he said because it has magic in it. Tobit was taken out of the Bible because of magic. Well, yeah, this is Hollywood. We're all about magic. Industrial light and magic. We're in the magic business, the magic kingdom. That's not a reason why not to make this movie. Magic's commonplace. May not be proper in a religious text, and that's debatable. It's fine. But nobody expects movies to be entirely religious. Even a book adapted from the Old Testament, a movie adapted from the Old Testament and has magic in it, is totally understandable. If you haven't read the Book of Tobit from the Bible, it's short read. I don't even have a long treatment. I just tell people, read the Bible. It's 8 pages. My script is 98 pages. You can be through that 8 pages like that. And all I did was take each verse and write a scene. And it's going to last an hour and 45 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes, probably an hour, closer to 2, an hour and 45 minutes. And this will be the first and only feature-length film ever. There was a silent film based on Tobit from the 1920s, and a few animations and some shorts, but their production value is just really terrible. They're meant to go along with young people's Bible study. Yeah, 1.5 billion people, even kids, are taught this story. In my experience, the nuns tell the story about the lady who's widowed seven times, 7 weddings and 7 funerals, and she doesn't give up. Most nuns leave the explanation about the weddings were unconsummated out, but little kids know what a wedding is. They figure out pretty soon what a funeral and widow is. And they understand demons, scared to death. Of course. I mean, I think that's part of it. The bad guys. Even in the Bible, there's bad guys, villains. Asmodeus is particularly villainous. Yeah, that is the reason. There's 2 or 3 reasons why to make this film. There's 1.5 billion people that have seen it in print, taught it. They were taught it when they were young. They remember this story. You don't forget 7 weddings and 7 murders, 7 funerals, and all done by a single demon. So the film has the film's been read. The people, the audience, huge audience, they know the story from print, and they're expecting to see it on the big screen. Never been done. 100 years ago, and it was a silent film, and no one has had the balls to do it since. With a 1.5 billion potential audience, I think it's a no-brainer. Number 2, the second reason why people, let's say Scorsese or Vin Diesel or Brad Pitt, should get involved. is likability. Sarah is one of the most likable characters. Tobit is one of the most likable characters. I know I talked to Larry McMurtry 40 years ago or more, and I was 19, and we were talking about Lonesome Dove, and he said, well, it's all about likability. And I asked him to explain. He said, well, the main characters have to be likable, like Sancho Panza and Don Quixote. And you do a survey of learned men and women, readers, and ask them who the most likable characters of all time were. Those two are in. They invented an entire genre of buddy movies and adventure, and then there's the whole Quixoteism, which it's likable. We like these guys. We like Gus and Cole. We like Sarah, a woman who can be married 7 times and not be jaded, not entirely jaded. Perhaps just a little, just enough to give you a hint. But Sarah is resilient. Reese Witherspoon, Sandra Bullock, that kind of actress. You can't give the part of Sarah to a lightweight. You can't give the part of Raphael to anyone but an action hero. And, there's a handful of action heroes that could do this. I don't know if Vin Diesel would want to, but people would like to see him play an angel that kicks Asmodeus's butt, wraps him up in naval rope, the real thick rope that moors a ship maybe to the dock, wraps him up in that, and like a ball of yarn, rolls him down the hill into the Thames. It's going to be special effects. And can Vin Diesel play an angel? Yeah, I don't know if he will. Hollywood celebrities have a moat around them, and there's a drawbridge, and the managers and talent agents, they don't lower that ever. You send 100 query letters on a book based on the Bible with 1.5 billion. It's 1.5 million people with story recognition, but they've never seen it on film. And they still won't let the drawbridge down. I think maybe the people around Vin Diesel, they don't even know him. They don't know what's in his heart. They think they're working in his best interest by filling the dumpster with unread scripts. Really. No, it's not personal for me. I have a certain gravitas. I spent 9 years in college, and I have a PhD in political science, and my query letters and the scripts aren't full of grammatical errors, and I know the proper format, and so I don't feel it's personal. I feel it's a systemic ignorance. They're just doing their job, and maybe they play ignorant. A lot of it is the liability laws in California. You send 100 query letters, and 6 come back from a robot, and the letters were never even read. It's just a form letter. This is unsolicited, and we don't read unsolicited material. It's illegal for us. Yeah, I've actually gotten a letter that says it's illegal. Maybe it's not advised because of the liability law. I don't understand why Hollywood doesn't go to... I do understand. They could go to the state legislature and ask for limited liability. Baseball has limited liability. attorneys in a lot of states. Doctors in almost every state have limited liability because it's politics. The state legislature is beholden to them. Now, in California, couldn't creatives, executives, you can't say these executives are creatives. That's a big misnomer. But executives could go to the state legislature and request a law that says you can't sue me if someone else makes the same story. And that would open the gates, and the free market would make sure more scripts make the enter the market and are read. It would increase competition. So why don't they do that? I think they like the establishment. The liability laws in California that these producers and agents and executives are their establishment. And they hire establishment writers. So you see the same stories over and over and over again. And so which stories don't you see over and over again? Stories like Tobit. Why? Because I don't know I don't send paper scripts anymore. But let's say I was. How many of those scripts would end up in the garbage? 100 query letters, 6 or 7 are going to be considered unsolicited, and 2 out of 100, they'll say, hey, 7 Jewish weddings and 7 demonic murders. This sounds, and they'll read it. Now, where these scripts are, I have no idea. Actually, I haven't heard. It's being considered in a lot of places. I hope they're not just being nice and saying, I'll read it so I don't quit writing. But I think it's money. This could be the hugest commercial success since Mel Gibson's The Passion. $1 billion? Yes, with 1.5 billion Catholics and Orthodox Christians. $1 billion's doable. There's not going to be a sequel. Tobit ends. I mean, you can't be more. I don't think you can be more than 10% more creative than the Bible. The Bible has a story, and you can add here or there, and I had to, because people are curious what happens to Tobit, and I have to put him in a different place. No, Iraq 3,000 years ago is not going to do it. The 10 years before the Holocaust will grab your attention. And that's only because Tobit is likable. Yeah. Vin Diesel. I agree. He's strong. We trust him. We like him. Can you see Vin Diesel getting off a DC-3 in Amsterdam in 1931? Silver brushed, what they call brushed aluminum, kind of like American Airlines, the silver. Merle Haggard sings a song, Silver Wings. Well, they didn't paint planes in the 20s and early 30s. They left it the brushed aluminum. It's not going to rust, and paint costs money. So can you see him shining in the sun? They didn't have terminals, the arm that comes out from the building. They came off a stairwell. Handsome, strong, his shiny head shining in the sun, the plane shining in the sun, and he's there to kill a demon. And you could put a little halo behind his head. Very slight, superficial. He should be always backlit. It would be great. And if you know Vin Diesel or someone in his camp, on his team, just tell him 7 Jewish weddings and 7 demonic murders. 7 Jewish weddings. I think, and tell him he'll play Raphael. He may Google it and learn about maybe he'll see the art. He may be Catholic or Jewish or Christian Orthodox and have known this story since he was 3, and no one ever approached him with a script. I don't know, but I think the story sells itself.